Yes.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the Yak Legion podcast. And I'm here, and me and Brian Smith, we got Dustin Hoy. How's it going, man?
Excellent, man. How you guys all doing?
All pretty good, man. Having a good time tonight. Went fishing for a little while. Hit John Graves' pond over there, and at the Rockin' Star Ranch. And I
Yeah.
caught a bunch of bass. Just nothing real big. Nothing to brag about, man. Seems like that pond's got a lot of little bass in it. It's got some big ones in there too, because I know John's caught some nice ones out there. But I know that you're a fellow Venom pro staffer, man. What's up? How long you been pro staff for Venom Lures?
This is my third year with them, and also signed on also with Bonafide too. So
Wow, man, awesome. So we know you run Raccoon Creek Outfitters. That's right outside of Athens, right?
it is. It's about 10 minutes outside of Athens, towards like Zalaski, Chillicothe, Lake Hope area.
Oh, nice, man. Um, how'd you guys find that place? I mean, how'd you guys start the whole operation?
Basically, man, I've been in the business for about 10 years, 15 years, and got an opportunity to kind of branch out, find our own area. And my wife and I basically started hunting for property and came across the location where we're at now. So,
Nice, man. Didn't you have some questions, Brian?
Yeah. Speaking of the property, what was that property like when you found it?
man, it used to be called Reuse Industries. It's basically like a junk shop. They had everything from washers, dryers, used commodes, you name it, it was there. And there's about 30 acres there. So you can just imagine of how big of a mess that place was.
How long did it take you all to get it cleaned up, and what kind of work and how many people were involved in the cleanup process?
Buddy, I tell you what, it was a lot of work. We bought it. We closed on December 2nd of 2016, and we actually opened April 15th of the 17th. So it was about 4.5 months. Ended up, we had tons of friends. My buddy Seth Rennell, his family, Mark Chandler is actually our manager now. His family was down. Us, and just lots and lots of friends. Reed Carpenter is also a huge help in there. So, yeah, definitely a shout out to all those guys. We couldn't have been there and got it done without them.
Wow,
That's awesome.
very awesome. So, what all do you sell at your shop there?
We got a couple lines of kayaks. We got Bonafide kayaks. We got all four models of them. We actually have 19 of the limited editions coming in this month.
Awesome.
Yeah, the Black Widow is going to be an awesome, awesome boat. I know Brian's kind of got an eye out on one of them.
Yes, sir. Got my name on one.
Yep. We also sell a new canoe. We have a few of them in stock. We've got the new limited edition Smart Flint, which
That's
is just an absolutely gorgeous boat.
That's a nice looking kayak, man.
It is. It is. And it's all decked out. It has the new angler bullseye and stuff on it. Just a sweet setup on it. Already comes stock.
What makes it smart?
The angler bullseye actually it comes with basically its own GPS system. You can log your catches through an app with it, and you can actually take photos. I mean, it's a cool setup, man.
The social media kayak.
Yeah.
For the social media fishermen. So, what other services do you offer there?
We do canoe rentals, kayak rentals. We have a couple different trips. We do one, our short trip takes about an hour and a half, 2 hours, on average person. And then we also have a 7 mile trip, or trip B. It takes about 2.5 to 3 hours or so to do that trip.
Wow. So, how long of the length of the river do you guys run?
Our longest trip runs up towards not all the way up to Moonville, but really close to Moonville, and comes down. And it's approximately between 6 and 7 miles of water, somewhere in that ballpark. So,
Nice, man. I know you guys offer camping too, because we all camped down there for the Raccoon Creek Buckeye Kayak Fishing Trail event,
man, that
and
was an awesome weekend.
that was very fun, man. I know Mike Davis, he won it out of his Flint on the
Yep,
creek there.
he did. Actually, there's three of us all placed in the top six.
Yeah.
All came off of the creek. Matt Davis took first place. Um, uh, shoot.
I can't remember offhand myself.
Yep. Yeah, I ended up taking sixth place off of it. So,
Oh, good job, man. That's awesome, dude. That was a
good
lot
day.
of fun, man. Sitting around the fire at night, and you can actually drink a few beers there and enjoy yourself. And it's a great little campground to take your family if you guys want to. Anybody listening and want to take their family down there and check out the creek. And there's also quite a few lakes in that area too. Um,
Really?
they're just a hop, skip, and a jump from Raccoon Creek.
Yeah, we have that. And yeah, actually, our manager there, Mark, he says it best. He'd come as a customer and leave his family, and that's kind of definitely something we're trying to hold true to. And everybody basically comes in, hangs out. My wife gets up in the morning, cooks breakfast on Saturday mornings, that kind of stuff. I mean, she does a phenomenal breakfast with waffles and sausage and just about all the makings. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, it's just a great time hanging out. We have a great big community fire ring if everybody just wants to kind of gather in and hang out. And then we also have some sites right down along the creek. Everybody kind of, you can fish right there from your site. So, which is pretty cool. So,
Yeah, Dustin, you know, businesses they have a service, a product, and an experience. And the experience that I had, along with Zach down there for the BKFT event, just blew everybody else out of the water. It was great. I mean, from the dinner bell and the breakfast, you had karaoke machine, and just it was an awesome experience. And I wanted to know if that's a regular event. Like, is that something you do for just about everybody that comes down and puts on a tournament like we did, or were we just special?
definitely you guys are just special. No, I'm just, yeah, it's something that we actually do every weekend. Every weekend, we usually have a big spread of food. We actually have an in-house caterer that comes in sometimes and puts on a massive spread of food. Um, he owns Taste of Good Life Catering down out of Cincinnati. Yeah, actually, we're down in your guys' neck of the woods. So, um, just a phenomenal guy. He comes up, hangs out, camps, and uh, yeah. Then we also, I mean, we get up, do breakfast on the mornings, that kind of stuff. So it's just something that we kind of enjoy doing, and we enjoy just getting everybody kind of together, and especially how many different families camping, that kind of stuff, that end up becoming really good friends and stuff by the time they leave the weekend. So, and
Yeah,
even like with you guys coming up, and a lot of people that came in that didn't know you guys or didn't know each other and become good friends afterwards. So,
definitely. I left there with 4 or 5 new fishing buddies that I can chat with on a regular basis, and
That's
really
how me and
enjoyed
Brian met.
it. Yep, that's
yeah,
exactly how we met.
that's
Yep.
awesome, man. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, it's an incredible community, and it just takes one little group or an action to make everybody kind of click and start hanging out together.
Oh, great, man. I can't wait to come down there again. I've been trying to talk my wife all summer to come down there. She's not a big camper like I am, but definitely want to come down there again. I hope we can come bring our tournament trail up here again next year. It's definitely a lot of fun, man. So I know you guys had a problem with the creek down there at one time that was pretty dirty, and somebody came down there and cleaned it out. I know you told that story at the Buckeye Kayak Fishing Trail event. You want to go into that now?
Yeah, man. Basically, back in the 40s and 50s, and even up in the 70s, Benton County and surrounding areas had a ton of strip mining going on, and they didn't have the regulations like they do today. So they basically left everything as it is once they pulled the coal out of the ground. And basically, what created is a bunch of sulfur ponds, everything else, and a bunch of basically acid. And all the acid drained into the creek. And just over a little bit of time, it killed everything in the creek, killed the creek completely out, and it was dead for years. State of Ohio actually wrote it off as being a dead creek, and that they said it would never come back. And a group affiliated with OU Ohio University created a group called Raccoon Creek Partnership, and they ended up getting funding through the federal government, grants, donations, all that kind of stuff, and went in and started doing basically strip mine cleanups, did other in the tributaries. They put a couple dosers in, which I put lime in the water, and basically just a mass amount of work and effort. And the water quality started coming back, and with the water quality coming back, the fish, the habitat, the wildlife, everything kind of came back with it. Mother Nature started helping take care of it. So,
Wow, that's an amazing story, man. I know, especially back in the 70s and the 80s, man, and not just the strip mines, but the Ohio River was toxic waste dump, man. I think there was only three species of fish in the Ohio River in the 70s, just because of the dumping and the pollution and stuff, man. It just the ODNR and the environmental people, man, coming in and cleaning up all these rivers, and it's awesome, man. I mean, now the Ohio River is a great fishery. It's full of fish.
oh,
And
it is definitely, and that's kind of the way the creek is. I mean, we went from actually clear up until late '90s, early 2000s of zero fish, and now the Raccoon Creek has 60 different species
nice.
of fish in there, and the paddlefish. It actually has a huge community down along the Ohio River, that kind of stuff in there. I mean, it just has just an incredible variety of fish in there.
Wow. What's the prominent fish species in the creek?
I would say probably your Kentucky spot and also your rock bass is your probably most common fish. We actually had some people camping there a couple weekends ago that pulled some really nice channel cats out of it. Actually, we had a couple guys fishing there last weekend. I caught a 16-inch crappie out of there.
Oh,
So
wow.
Nice.
yeah,
That's
so
a
the
big
fish
crappie.
definitely the fish and just incredible on it. So
Wow, that's amazing, man. Um, what do you like to fish for personally on the creek?
I'm a bass
Oh man.
guy. I mean, I love catching the spotted bass on there, but I also like taking a nice ultralight and going after your rock bass and your small fish too. And good ultralight's always just fun to catch anything on.
Yeah, that's great, man. Um, so have you fished any tournaments? I know you fished a few tournaments, right? Do you fish many?
I used to fish a bunch. Actually, one year I traveled several different states fishing the river bass and tournament trail, and then also I fish. I'm heading, I think, next weekend up to the East Ohio, or I'm sorry, Northwest Ohio kayak anglers tournament up on Portage Lake.
Oh,
That's a
nice,
sweet
man.
thing. Heck
So,
yeah.
that
That's
should
a
be.
sweet.
Yeah, I hadn't been up to that one. I know the biggest trip I did this year was East Harbor, and man, that was a lot of fun. Drive
I've,
wasn't too fun, but it was fun, man.
yeah, we've kayak fished up here a few times on Erie. Actually, a fun time is just shuttling out to Middle Bass Island and just
Yeah.
launching right off the island. And great smallmouth hatchery and everything else out there. So uh, it's always a good time. Go out towards like rattlesnake and out that direction off of
Or
Middle Bass.
Kelly, or Kelly's. They got some nice smallies over there on Kelly's.
They do. Yep.
Wow. So how long you been in a kayak?
I started kayak fishing in around 98, 99.
Oh wow, you've been in a long time.
Yep. And kind of bounced out of a kayak for a bit, got into a little solo canoe, paddled it for a bit, and then jumped back into the sit on top kayaks. And now I'm fishing out of the Bonafide SS 127. So
Nice. What was your first kayak?
my first kayak actually is an old town Predator sit in, which is basically like the old loons, the old town loons. So um, and I added some extra stuff on it, added a couple extra rod holders and an anchor system and all that kind of stuff on it. So
You can't go wrong with an old town Predator.
no,
They're good boats, man. They're good kayaks.
they really are. And they're still making it. I mean, it's still a good boat out there. So
Those bona fides are pretty sweet too, man. What kind of gadgets and gear do you keep on your rig?
uh, I always keep do a black pack with a couple extra rod holders. It's nothing to take 6, 7 rods out with me at a time. Also got an extra pod, the dry pod for it. That I've got a Lowrance 7-inch DI on it, and got a couple extra cup holders, and I got a couple extra gear tracks and stuff all on it too. So uh, it's set up pretty nice. I can do pretty much about any fishing I do want to do out of it. Went last year to Florida and chased peacock bass around.
Oh wow.
I'll tell you what, if you get a chance to do that, that's just an incredible trip. We did a shuttle or a charter down there, deep blue kayaking, and yeah, they did a phenomenal job. Got us on some good fish. And actually, the second day we was going to do it by ourselves, and they pointed us in a great direction, told us how or where to go, the whole 9 yards, and we even had a great day the second day too. So
That's
Wow,
awesome.
man. I know you guys went to ICAST this year too, didn't you?
we did, yep. Small group of us all took off, flew down, hung out for a week, went to Disney and went to ICAST and just kind of bounced around down there for a bit. So I'll tell you what, ICAST is, you ever get a chance to go, highly recommend it. It's almost overwhelming the amount of new gear you'll see there.
I know. I'm hoping to go next year.
Did you get to demo all the new gear?
There was a demo day that you could demo some of the new boats, that kind of stuff. But even like just the small gadgets and Z-Man Baits was there. There was 13 Fishing was there with some of their new rods and reels and everything. Even just checking out all their new gear was really incredible.
Nice. Now you said something about the dry box on your 127.
Uh-huh.
So you have two dry boxes. One that has your transducer and what your battery and whatnot,
Yep.
and then you have another one that's set up so that you can river fish and you don't have to worry about busting up your transducer. You just swap the boxes out.
Yeah. That seems to be the simplest way. And if you're going to be doing a lot of creek fishing or even getting into like river fishing and stuff, where you're going to be hitting bottom, the last thing you do is want to tear your transducer off or anything else. So I basically set up 2 pods, one for your creek and rivers, and then a good lake setup. So
And that's pretty cool. I can't do that with my boat. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's one of the nice things about it is, I mean, it's so or universal that you can add and take stuff off really, really quick with that boat. So,
Awesome. Now, what was the most interesting thing you've seen down at ICAST?
oh wow, there's just so much. I mean, it's almost kind of overwhelming. I have to actually say the thing that really caught my eye the most. There's two things. One was the new Bonafide boats coming out. The Black Widow, the Fusion, and all of them are just, I mean, they're definitely eye catchers for sure. But then they also had a game set up where you get up and you hook into like a fish, almost like a, I don't know, video game type thing, and you actually use a real fishing rod and it's jerking and pulling, and they had me hook on to a tuna, and I fought it for probably 15 minutes, and it was close to getting in. It was just crazy. So
Nice. Was it like a virtual reality type game?
no, it was a little bit, but I mean, you're actually using a real fishing rod. You can actually take your regular bass rod and hook up to it, and you
Oh,
can set it to catch bluegill. You can set it to catch bass. You can kind of do whatever type of fish you want to fish with, and it will actually break your line if you're not careful. Yeah, it's just it was
That's
a heck
pretty
of a
interesting, man.
it was it was it's set up on like a spool, and it would actually jerk you, and it was pretty neat.
That's awesome, man. So out of all the new colors of Bonafide, and I know they've come out with a few more since then. I think the Fusion and the Huntsman, which I
Yep.
like a Huntsman, man. I like anything in camouflage. But what's one of your favorites?
The Huntsman's definitely right up there on the top. I like the Fusion. Um, I really the Black Widow. It's one of them that it's just a credible look to it. That red and black combo is is just a sexy boat for sure. So
I called it. I said it under my breath. I was waiting for you to say it, but I had a feeling you were going to say the Black Widow.
yeah, the Black Widow definitely is it's an awesome boat, man. Um, and the pictures of it don't do it justice at all. I mean, if you've seen it in person, just the 3D look, everything else they got going on with it is is just incredible.
It's definitely very rock and roll.
Definitely, definitely.
I'm getting kind of excited over here. Those don't come out till what, the end of September?
Yeah, they're actually just started production. I talked to Bonafide there the other day, and they just started production on Monday, and they should start releasing boats sometime, and I'm gonna guess in the next 2 weeks.
Cool. Now with those, they're limited edition, right? So they only made 100 of each color in the 127 and 100 of each color for the 107.
Yep, yeah, that's correct. And each boat is actually numbered, which is also kind of a neat piece. Is you can actually see what boat it was when it came off the production line and stuff. So
Very cool.
Now, is the
So
Huntsman and the Fusion, is that going to be permanent color, or is this part of the limited edition?
the Fusion is part of the limited edition. The Huntsman is going to be their new standard 2020 color,
Nice.
and they're talking mid end October when that boat will be released. So
now with their standard colors, they did away with the Hondo and they changed some of the colors this year, didn't they?
they did. They actually did away with most of them. I think the only one they really kept was the Top Gun Gray.
Okay.
I think they kept that boat, and the rest of them they've kind of changed up. They went with a little bit more darker blue, and they also kept the aqua. They ended up keeping that one too. So, but
So they
everything
got
pretty
like a
much
light blue and a dark blue.
Yep. Yeah, they did that real light blue, and then they have that real dark blue. And they did away with the Woodsman and came out with the new Huntsman. And the sand color, they did it, I think they called it the Storm. And it's supposed to be a little bit lighter color than the sand. It's going to be kind of a mixture of that real super light tan to white type look to it.
Okay. And then they did away with that like General Lee orange, the Hondo, and they're
Yep.
doing like a red one instead.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
awesome, man. I can't wait to see them in person. But I'm going to take this as a little break. We'll go to commercial. We'll be right back, and we'll get into fishing. I want to know how you fish Raccoon Creek and catch some big bass out there.
Sure do,
Hey,
buddy.
And here is a word from our sponsors, Venom Lures in Lancaster, Ohio. They're known for their great soft plastics and terminal tackle. They've been providing quality products from right here in Ohio since 1984. Mr. Dustin Carnes is the new owner and inventor of the DK rig. It's a weedless version of the Ned rig that's taken the fishing world by storm. You can check them out at venomlures.com. Our next one is Strictly Sail. It's located on Kenwood Road in Blue Ash, Ohio. They sell Hobie, New Canoe, Feel Freeze, Three Waters, Johnny Boats, and they've been providing high quality service to fishermen and watercraft enthusiasts since 1978. Reach out to Brian Tacey at 513-984-1907, or you can check them out at strictlysailinc.com. We have American Tackle, baby, the inventors of the microwave line guide system. Great company, run by a great guy, Austin Todd. Definitely check them out. Their fishing rods are far superior. And then lastly, Real Fishing Company. They help make the logo of the Yak Legion. Great company. Check them out at realfishingco.com. Structure do you normally find on the creek?
Man, our creek is actually loaded with just down trees, undercut banks, all that kind of stuff. So, and it's just pretty much anywhere that you find a down tree or a good root ball has fish in it. You fish it for a couple minutes, you're going to pull something out of it.
Well, what's the general depth and width of the creek?
The creek itself is kind of narrow,
Mm.
but it actually has some pretty deep holes. It actually has some holes that are 14 to 15 foot deep in places.
Oh, wow.
I went horseback riding down there in April, and our guide walked us across the creek and said that just on the other side of us there was like a 30-foot deep hole right there.
There is.
Right on the other side of a bridge.
Yep. Yeah, right there at Moonville.
Yep, right. Yeah, we went right before we went under the tunnel.
Yep. Yeah, it's got a super deep hole right there.
Oh, Moonville Tunnel. I've heard of that before. There's a bunch of ghost stories about that place. I'd be kind of spooky to go down there during nighttime, man, floating down the river.
Come up, we'll do it. Come up, or put it on the water.
Gotcha, man. So, so what's going to be your strategy going into the fall here as the nights get colder? The days are, kind of staying kind of warm but getting kind of chilly, man. How do you change it up?
I'll probably end up doing a lot more kind of bottom slow rolling, throwing some small tubes, that kind of stuff, just kind of working it really slow.
I gotcha. What's your biggest catch out of the creek?
My biggest, I caught a 17-inch spot and an 18-inch largemouth out of it. Matt Davis fishes a couple different little sections in what I do, and he actually pulled almost a 20 out of it. So,
Wow.
yeah, there's some really good fish in there. So,
What'd you catch the big ones on?
I actually caught it on a spinner, so that black spinner.
Black spinner. When I was down there and demoed your 127, that's exactly what you told Billy and I was throw a black spinner.
Yep,
Throw a black spinner.
that's my go-to 100% of the time on the creek. So
It took 3 casts and Billy reeled in a 15-inch smallie.
nice.
So we put in. So
Is there a lot of smallies in that creek?
There's a few here and there, but that's pretty much it. The Kentucky bass are pretty much your most dominant, and also the largemouth. So that's kind of the main game plan right there.
So I know you mentioned a black spinner. Like, what are some of the colors that you like to use in that creek?
I use a lot of Venom's colors. The white, the chartreuse. Venom actually has a really nice chartreuse and white. Then they almost do a white with like a black pepper kind of flake to it. And it just kind of depends on the water conditions, the water I'll throw. But yeah, I throw that white speckled a lot too. So
Nice. So that creek is you mentioned a lot of trees down in that creek. Is that one of those narrow creeks where you got to actually get your kayak out of the water and over top the trees?
in some places, yep,
Yeah.
there's some places that you're climbing over trees, you're laying down in your boat, sliding underneath the trees. Um, it's work. I mean, that's
unless you're Matt Davis and you go out there with a chainsaw and cut
yeah, he
trees away.
needed a little bit on that one.
So do
Yeah,
you
before
guys ever go? Sorry.
he did quite a bit of work before that tournament.
Do you
Just getting
guys
it
ever go down the river and cut some of that out?
We do actually on a pretty regular basis. I probably have roughly 80 to 100 hours of cutting this year alone. Our first year when we opened, there were several massive log jams that it took me a couple days to get through one log jam.
Wow.
And it was definitely work. It was definitely a lot of work.
Well, that's awesome, man. So, what are some of the lakes in that area that you normally fish?
Most of the lakes, I fish Fox Lake quite a bit. Lake Hope is always one of my favorite. It's even just a fun place just to go paddle. Right now, or actually about a month ago, you had a lot of all the lily pads are starting to bloom and everything else. So that was really neat back in the back part of it. And there's occasionally you hook into a monster bass out of it. I mean, it's just a kind of a unique kind of atmosphere in that lake.
How do you switch up your fishing, going from the creek to the lake?
It's definitely that's a challenge, man. Lake fishing is definitely not my forte for sure, but um, trying to learn just to find structure and figure out what the fish are eating. One of my big things I've told a lot of different people this is you figure out the food, you can figure out the bass. So
What are the primary feed fish of the Raccoon Creek?
there's a lot of minnows, that kind of stuff, and also a lot of crawdads.
Mm.
So those are two kind of ideal kind of match colors that you can go with. Got some shiners, that kind of stuff in there. So a lot of times you just start kind of looking around, you start seeing a bunch of bait fish and kind of match the size and the length and all that good stuff.
Oh wow, gotcha. So, what kind of gear are you using? Like fishing rods and reels?
Fishing rod and reels. I fish with a lot of 13 fishing. That's pretty much primarily any rods I've been using. I use their Fate a lot. I actually got a Concept Z. I wanted at one of the river bass tournaments last year. Actually at their championship. And it just incredible reel. So that's kind of my go-to is pretty much a 13 fishing.
Nice, man. So normally we have a little segment on the show, and it's called the fishing scenario game. So I know Brian, he had a good one tonight. I think he's got a couple good ones. So I'll go first with mine, and then I'll give Brian the next two. Excuse me, I got allergies tonight. But anyway, so here's fishing scenario number one, right? You're going in the fall, the nights have cooled down, leaves are falling, covering the creek, filling the creek full of leaves. So you got a nice sunny day where the air temperature is around 50 degrees, but the water temperature has been taken down from the cold nights. So how would you go about fishing that scenario?
Man, that's a hard one, buddy. Basically, man, you gotta fish the pockets. You gotta find where you got a little bit of clearing, and also, I always fish a little bit heavier jig, something like that, and kind of punch through the leaf cover on top and get down there where the fish are. And if the water's cooling off a little bit, the cooler the water, the slower you're moving. So
what time of day do you think would be best to fish in that scenario?
probably more evening, late afternoon, that kind of stuff. It gives you a little bit of the water temperature to bump up a little bit with the sun. So I would definitely probably be out there more late afternoon into the evening for me fishing. But
Gotcha. Good answer, man. That was a rough one. So you have a couple, Brian?
Yeah, I got one. It's kind of goofy. Say Conor McGregor shows up down there at Raccoon Creek, right? He's got his bottle of whiskey in his hand, and he says, "Give me one rod, one reel, one lure. I gotta catch a fish in 15 minutes. If I don't, I'm coming after you. What are you gonna hook him up with?"
another bottle and probably go with him. You gotta make friends with people like that. Now, truthfully, man, I'd probably go with like a light action rod, especially on our creek. And depends on. I mean, right now, if he showed up today, I'd probably throw him on a black spinner, man. With the conditions of the water, that would be my go-to.
You're gonna catch a fish in 15 minutes.
Well, your buddy just caught one in about 3 casts, so that creek is loaded with fish. I almost guarantee you within a few minutes you're gonna catch a fish. So
wow, that's nice, man. So here we'll go with the last one, man. So you're at Hope Lake. All right, it's a lake you're familiar with, and it's the middle of summer, man. It's the sun's beating down. It's nasty, man. Your ears are burning. The water is just boiling hot, like feeling like hell's fire, man. What's your general approach on fishing those fiery hot days like that?
12-pack of beer and no.
I'm there with you, buddy.
No, odds are I'd probably be fishing any kind of shade cover, and find out like if there's a nice thing about Lake Hope, it always has a little bit of a breeze. Figure out which way the breeze is coming in, pushing food, and I would look for shade. Definitely kind of for a little bit of cool water or big drops. The nice thing about Lake Hope, it does have a couple nice points that come off, and you fish that kind of shaded side of that point. The water's a little bit cooler, a little bit deeper right there. So, yeah, definitely kind of find a little bit of that cooler water, and you're definitely land some decent fish. So,
that's awesome, man. Good answer. Heck yeah, man. I think you won the game. So another question I ask everybody that comes on the show, man. Do you have one crazy kayak fishing story? And that could be something like funny, something tragic, something that pissed you off. Maybe your best catch of your life, man. You got a funny story or a fishing story that comes to mind?
I got a few, man.
We
Well,
have all night, buddy.
I, anybody that spends a lot of time in the water, especially in a kayak, you've seen people swim, lose bait, lose rods. I actually here just a few weeks ago, I was fishing a tournament down with Eric McCormick, or Cormac, down on the New River, there in West Virginia, and
Nice.
yeah, it was nerve wracking. I mean, we were running class twos, class three rapids in our fishing boats, and watched
Jeez.
guys with rafts and everything else come floating past us, running rapids, and here we are out there in the middle of it with a fishing kayak with all the fishing gear, everything else on it. I mean, tell you, it makes you a little on the nervous side. Um, but yeah, it was one of them that the first day, the day of the tournament on Saturday, we put in this spot, and as soon as you put in, went downriver about 100 yards. There's a really nice, kind of an upper size class three rapid right there, and we're the tournament actually let us put on a half an hour before you could fish. So we was gonna put on, run the rapid, and kind of get on down the creek or river a little bit before we got on or started fishing. And we ran a class three in the dark, and anything we could see, anything I could see was the white caps, stuff of the rapids coming up and the waves. And let me tell you, that's kind of gets the old heart pumping and adrenaline running. And
Dang, that sounds crazy, man.
That's nuts.
yeah,
Sounds
and
like
it was
fun though.
oh, it was an absolute blast. I would go back down in a heartbeat and do it again. But when you start going up to that and you start thinking, wow, I could flip over right here, lose all my tackle, lose my rods, lose everything, bottom of the river, and be done before the tournament ever gets started. Yeah.
Whoa.
Man, that would be a bad day.
It would definitely be a bad day. We had another guy, actually fishes on the Nucanoe team. He put in, he wasn't with us, he's on another little section. But I guess he flipped over, lost his seat on his kayak, he lost some fishing gear. Yeah, and his trip ended right there. So, and it was one of them,
Man,
made for a bad day, I'll tell you.
expensive day.
A very expensive day.
How deep was that river? You couldn't go swimming for your stuff, or?
The big bad problem is when you flip over, you're in the rapids. I mean, there ain't no swimming there. It's rushing down through there. Big wave trains. I mean, you're talking 2 and 3 foot waves or better. Um, I
Yeah,
actually,
that water's moving. You said class three? Oh, yeah, that water's moving.
yeah, it's no playing around in it. If it hits the water, it's just gone. So,
Did you do any good in that tournament?
I caught some fish. I definitely caught some fish, but I didn't catch anything that was a keeper.
Wow.
I caught 3 or 4 that had a 12-inch minimum, and I caught 3 or 4 that was at 11 3/4, and I could not break that 12-inch line.
Been there
Eric,
before.
yep, Eric Cormac that I was with, he ended up taking second place, and he caught a really nice 19-incher or 19.5-incher. He took big bass too, and it was just an incredible trip. Hands down, just a fun adventure. And sometimes that's what it's about. It's not about the wind. It's not about the place. The scenery down there is just absolutely incredible, and just the full adventure of it. And I get just as much thrill of that than as I do, winning the tournaments or catching that monster bass. Sometimes it's just about being on the water and seeing new places and doing new things. So
The experience, yep.
yep. And sometimes that's it. It's just about the experience of it. So,
Wow. That's a lot of fun, man. That's what I love the most about kayak fishing and kayak fishing the trails, the Buckeye Trail. You get to go to new places you never fished before. and get to have new experiences, meet new friends, man. I love the whole community of kayak fishing. It's just awesome.
Yeah, just an incredible group of people. I mean, everybody. And it seems like if you meet them, they're your friends for life too. I mean, they're just you call them up and they'll take you fishing in their honey holes or whatever they want to do, and
Yeah.
it's a good time.
Oh, definitely.
Speaking of meeting incredible people, when we were down there, your manager, and for the life of me, I cannot remember his name, but
Um,
he's got to be one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Was always there to help, had a smile on his face, just polite, nice, you name it. He was awesome. So speaking of meeting good people, your manager, what was his name?
his name is Mark. Mark Chandler.
Morris. Yes.
Yeah.
Great guy. Really glad that he works with you down there. It was really nice meeting him.
Yeah.
But,
Him and his wife both work for us or work with us as a team. And that's one of the things that I mean, my wife and I both take a lot of pride in is um, we just have an incredible staff, and they're not even just staff members that work for us. I mean, we kind of work as a team, and we work kind of together with everybody. And like with Mark, and we have another gentleman by the name of Brett that works for us, or a couple of guys that work with us named Brett.
Mm.
That do just phenomenal jobs. That come up with just great ideas and stuff that you know. Sometimes you're too close to the situation, and having somebody that has just a little outside of the box eye on it, and just make great things happen. One of the guys we have working with us is Brett Chumley, former owner of Columbus Kayak,
Mm.
and he comes down and helps out. He's just a whole lots of information, knowledge that comes with that guy. And yeah, he can't. And like with Mark and his wife Rose, we have a young man is also named. Everybody calls him B-Ret. He just graduated last year, or this past summer or spring, and that boy has so many talents. It's just unreal. And he actually has been doing some fishing with me. I've got him into a boat, and yeah, he's becoming one heck of an angler to go with it. So
that's
Wow,
awesome.
So Raccoon Creek, are you guys open all year round?
our gear shop is. And after October, we actually shut down um, the gear shop and everything, but we're kind of open for appointments. And we put my phone number, that kind of stuff. We can meet at basically any time of day or night. And my rental basically shuts down in mid-October. So
You have any hunters come out there?
we haven't yet. We're looking at probably expanding this winter and building a couple small cabins. And I think that right there will kind of help out with getting a few of the hunters in, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
And also make it for people like your wife that don't want to camp in a tent.
Yeah. There
Have
you
a nice
go.
bed, little air conditioning, little lights. That kind of goes a long ways. So,
Oh, definitely, man, definitely. So before we end this, do you have any shout outs or sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
yeah, definitely Venom Lures. Just Dustin up there. Kern's an incredible guy. Um, great company to work for, and also be um, kind of honored to be part of them. Also, Bonafide Kayaks. Also, just another great company. Luther does a great job with Bonafide and also Yak Attack.
Oh yeah.
And customer service is phenomenal with them. And also the Raccoon Creek. I mean, it's what brings us all together here. So,
So how can people get a hold of you? Get a hold of Raccoon Creek.
our website or Facebook. Facebook is probably our number one easiest contact. We also have a phone number 740 698-0000. It's the easy one to find or remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, Facebook is kind of our easiest way to kind of stay in touch with us because we are all kinds of posting different events or specials, sales, any of that kind of stuff going on. We actually had a big music festival out there this spring. 12 hours of music.
Dang.
What kind of music festival was it?
It actually was a variety of music. I mean, everything from a little bit of like a gospel bluegrass, all the way up to the last band was more of a kind of a harder rock band.
Oh wow.
Yep, there's some solo guys up there singing some country stuff. There was some old country, new stuff. I mean, it was just I think they had 12 or 13 different artists up there, and they started it off, which I thought was really neat. We just kind of hosted the party or hosted it,
Yeah.
and then they actually had some amateurs. I mean, a couple young guys there in high school. I was just kind of getting started and had a couple songs of their own and did some covers of a few other songs, and they got a little bit of stage time in front of people, that kind of stuff, and it was actually really neat because they had a few other bands that got up there and kind of gave them a couple of pointers in the process and kind of worked with them a little bit. So it was really neat to watch. So.
Wow, that sounds awesome, man. Yeah, I definitely can't wait to come down there and check out Raccoon Creek again, man. And I appreciate you coming on the show, Dustin. I really do, man. It's been nice talking to you.
Yep, I appreciate you having me, man. This is a great opportunity for the company and everything. So I definitely thank you guys for having me.
You got anything else, Brian?
No, just I'll see you here in a couple weeks, Dustin. Thanks for coming on and chatting with us. Looking forward to coming back down there and picking up that new kayak.
Awesome. Also, I just want another thing about we do have a big sale going on right now. If anybody wants basically any in stock boat we have, we're doing 10% off of everything. So,
Oh, nice.
Buddy. Nice.
And that kind of goes for all of our in stock stuff, all of our new limited edition stuff coming in, all that won't be a part of it. But yeah, all of our in stock boats, we've got a pretty big variety of boats in right now. So,
wow, man. Is anybody looking for a bona fide, getting into a Flint, a new canoe, anything like that, man? Go down there and check out Raccoon Creek Outfitters, man. You won't be disappointed with the friendly service from Dustin and his family.
Definitely.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Have a good one.